Senegal's new beginning and the questions for the West African sub-region. Back home, the race to the Ondo State Government House gathers pace with some big names joining the fray. We have one of them in the studio today. Also on political update, women politicians insist on 35% affirmative action and more inclusion as well as more benefits. This and more on our lineup today. I'm Fisai Ogunfui. Welcome. President Bola Tinubu, as chairman of ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, was part of the special guests at the Bassirou Faye took the oath of office as the fifth president of Senegal.
Chairman, ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Governments had the first opportunity of physical interface with the legislative arm of his community. He is certainly conscious of the necessity for cooperation and collaboration with the parliaments in moving the regional bloc forward and in pursuit of the economic prosperity and integration objectives of the ECOWAS. As he continues his assignment as the chairman of the community, the new members of the 6th legislature of the ECOWAS Parliament come in handy and ready for the current realities in West Africa. While the region is still grappling with its share of insecurity, climate change, among other challenges, President Tinubu says the consideration of 3 member states to vacate their membership as another existential challenge for the bloc.
At this critical junction, regional solidarity is imperative to strengthening our resiliency and effectiveness as a bloc, particularly against forces that aim to divide us. We must not allow this. We cannot afford to remain passive and ordinary spectators while our community faces the threat of disintegration. We stand united against such forces and are committed to ensuring that our unity remains unshaken.
That was President Tinubu at the ECOWAS Parliament. But earlier we were speaking about President Tinubu joining other heads of state to witness the inauguration of the fifth president of Senegal, Bassirou Faye. Let's take that report now.
From near obscurity, Bassirou Diomaye Faye emerged with the victory of David over Goliath in the March 24 presidential election in Senegal. The 44-year-old trained lawyer and former tax inspector who spent a few days short of a year in detention is now popular for joining the League of Leaders who broke free from prison to presidency. Senegal further adds to its profile of democratic resilience with new record of the youngest president on the continent. President Bola Tinubu was among other leaders who witnessed as the West African country made yet another history in its democratic journey. The ECOWAS chairman heartily congratulated his newest member, but further discussions would be reserved for another day.
Je réaffirme l'engagement du Sénégal.
Much expectations, but Faye says top on his priority list are to embark on national reconciliation, build institutions, reduce cost of living, and inclusive sectorial consultations. The African youngest president also promised to fight corruption and poverty amongst his people. Ousmane Sonko had led the struggle for the emergence of an opposition party since 2014, but it is his ally Bassirou Diomaye Faye who got the ultimate prize. The new man from Western Dakar now has the years ahead to prove what a youth can do as a leader in Africa.
Some may say that the prisons these days have become some kind of place to perhaps groom the next leaders across the continent, but that is a discussion for another day. But coming back home, joining us in the studio, talking about the race to Ondo State Government House, and forms have been picked as we speak from that state here at the National Secretariat of the All Progressive Congress and other party secretariats as well. We have governorship aspirant in our studio, and that's Professor Francis Adedayo Faduile. People call him Dayo Faduile. He's, of course, recipient of the Officer of the Order of Niger, and, of course, has been one-time president of the Nigerian Medical Association. Thanks for giving us this time, and it's nice to have you.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here.
First of all, have you purchased your expression of interest form, and or was it purchased for you by those that some say, trust in your candidature?
Well, I have purchased the expression of interest and the nomination form, but importantly, I have a retinue of friends within this country and outside this country, and seeing what we can do. They have absolute trust in some of our activities, and based on our antecedents, a large number of them came and they supported in getting that form for our emancipation, for the emancipation of the people in Ondo State, for good governance, and they are supporting me strongly. So they supported me in getting the nomination form and the expression of interest.
You are a medical doctor, so I think it will be you'll be in a good position to answer this. What is the health of the Ondo State, the key sectors of the Ondo State economy like? Is it healthy at the moment?
Well, as we have said, the truth about it is that they always say health is wealth, and we must have a healthy department, ministry, and agencies for a state or the country to function very well. But in this regard, I think it's good for us to know that there are so many areas in Ondo State that we actually need to take care of how it operates, and especially to direct how the programs there are run towards improving the life of ordinary people. Because
go ahead, please.
Because at every instance, the major function of a government is to have things getting better for the citizens that it is ruling over, and that is what we are looking at to do in Ondo State.
All right, before we talk about the main elections later in the year, we are looking at primaries later in this month, and we're looking at the fact that some big names have entered into the fray. The last count, about 16 of you or thereabout in your party, including the incumbent governor now, lucky that you are also in the race. How confident are you that you can capture the imagination of the people who will come to exercise their franchise as well, as far as that primary is concerned, and capture the imagination of the state later on?
Thank you very much, the important thing we need to do is that we need to talk to our people. And before we get to talking to our people, we need to also convince our party members that I am a better or the best amongst all the other people. And what we have been preaching is to get the ruling of a state, to get the management of a state geared towards the people. And we are going to have people-oriented program. We are telling them that everything about governance is to take care and assuage the difficulties that people are having.
Such as,
number one, we have very high level of poverty amongst the people. We must find a way of getting the people out of this poverty rate. And in those states, it's an agrarian community. We need to help the farmers, the peasant farmers, to get better yield. We need to help those who are into cash crop to have the best value for all their produce. For example, the best area that you can actually get more resources is not at the level of production. It's at the level of the person who buys the produce and now sell it to the final group of people who will work on them. So we must help the cocoa farmers. We must help the palm oil farmers. We must help the rubber farmers in such a way that we have a cooperative society that will stand between them and the final group of people who will use it, and we can appropriately price their product, and they can get the full benefit of what they are doing. Today, we have these middlemen taking all the lion's shares or all the major profit of those expenses. And again, we are talking about improving the yield of whatever products they are having. We have gone into scientific basis of improving yield. We have had better seed. We have had better produce. So all these things are things we want to use to help those set of people. Again, the way we govern the state is also very important. We are still, by and large, in an analog state. Today, every part of the world has embraced IT, and we must also bring IT to bear, to work effectively in our state. And that is things we are looking at so that the people can have the benefit of good governance, and they can have a high yield, a high return on investment on whatever we want to do.
What about issues of job creation as well? Because this has come to the front burner, even in the discourse in the 2019 election as well. And the candidates at the time promised all kinds of efforts to make sure that job becomes more available for the teeming youth of Ondo State, as well as you just enumerated the fact that a lot of cash crops thrive in Ondo State. Idonre, Ondo axis for cocoa, the southern part of Okitipupa axis division, Okitipupa division as it used to be called, known for palm oil. Have you perhaps interrogated those processes? And then in terms of that axis or the area axis and all that, what are the farmers themselves saying? Because once you talk about even the issues of bringing in new people and all that, they become a bit suspicious that maybe their jobs could go.
Well, we are not bringing in more people. We are going to help them to have better yield. We are going to help them to have better profit of whatever they are doing. And let me explain. If you see what is happening in Okitipupa, for example, with our palm oil, we only produce palm oil for either export, whichever we want to think, or for the local use. But I can tell you we have 1,001 things that we can get from palm oil. We can have a lot of industry that we use so many of the wastes that we are throwing away that we are not using. Is it the palm kernel? Is it the oil that we can get from palm kernel? Is it the bunch of the palm fruit that is being just thrown out? These are areas in which we must bring industrialization in place in such a way that it can be produced, we can have better product, other products from that. I made an example in one of the areas that we know that our area is in a rainforest, is in the rainforest belt, and one of the major fruits that we have in the rainforest belt is this banana, either the plantain or banana. And the tuber of the banana, I have seen somewhere where they are using for mat production. And these are areas...
For what production?
Mat production. And what we need to do is to have industrialization. Two things must be in place before we have proper industrialization and start having a better yield for industrialization. Number one is power. Power in Ondo State, especially in the Southern Senatorial District, is not there at all. But if we continue to wait on the national grid, I will tell you, we'll continue to wait almost forever. And what we need to do in Ondo State now is to look inward. We thank the federal government that has taken power from the exclusive list to residual list in such a way that we have state government that can now come into independent power projects. And once we can put independent power projects in place, we will have enough power dotted here and there. And it is on that basis that we start the process of industrialization, putting more industry in place, getting more of our youth into the industry, getting better employment, having money circulating around, and every other artisans will be better.
All right, there are some projects that have not gotten to the finish point from previous governments. We understand, of course, the deep sea port that a lot of people, in the state are expecting, as well as the free trade zone, that economic zone that has not, fully become operational. Are those ones in your plan, or you are only, talking about new plans?
Well, it is important for you to also know that when you are thinking of a gigantic, a mega project at that much, you must have enough planning in place. It's good we are looking at deep sea port. Yes, we will continue it, but before then, we must have proper urban and regional planning. One of the major problems we have in Lagos today is everywhere has gridlock. And it is because when they were putting those ports in place, they were not doing proper planning, and all of a sudden, everything becomes choked. Whatever we want,
go ahead, please.
Whatever we want to do at present, we must quickly start opening the road, doing the proper physical and urban planning while we are working to get the final approval of that deep sea port. And these are processes that it is not when you put the deep sea port or any other the free trade zone in that place that you start scampering for that. These are things we have to plan for the future, so that when the future comes, we are already prepared.
We'll not be caught unawares. All right, let's take some other stories before we go for the final lap of questions. President Bola Tinubu says his administration is determined to ensure that the education sector is given proper attention to develop and drive more rapid growth in the country. The president said this when he signed the National Students Loan Scheme Amendment Bill at the State House in the course of the week.
If Nigerian youth, the greatest of the greatest of the greatest of the greatest.
Although seeking Bola Ahmed Tinubu once had a pact with Nigerian students.
4 years program is 4 years. There will be student loan. If you cannot finance yourself, we give you a loan. You complete the education. When you get the work, only when you start working and with the capacity to pay, then you start to pay.
Apparently, the students fulfilled their own side of the bargain by supporting him to presidency. And barely 2 weeks into his administration, President Tinubu signed the student loan bill into law as a Democracy Day gift to the students. But then, the provision of the act required an amendment for better effectiveness. Now, issues of management, eligibility, methods of application, repayments and recovery of loans, among others, have been addressed in an amended legislation as endorsed by the National Assembly. Now, the government is set for the implementation with the establishment of the Nigeria Education Loan Fund, NEDFund.
We are determined to ensure education is given the proper attention necessary for the country, including skill development programs. Education is the tool to fight against poverty effectively.
We are happy, and you see that even Nigeria's parents will be happy, and we pray that those given the responsibility will effectively carry it out.
Still political update. We have an aspirant on the platform of the All Progressives Congress for the Ondo State governorship elections later in the year, but the primary, of course, is in a couple of weeks. We're talking about Professor Dayo Fadiwile, ON. You heard the president there in the course of the week, student loan scheme signed into law. Ondo State known for a lot of, experts in education in the past. Will you be rejigging that sector in your state for optimum performance?
Well, I think I agree with you, and I want to thank Ashwadi Bola Ahmed for being a president who walked the talk and who is now making sure that all his manifesto and electoral promises are made to fruition. Importantly, as you know, Ondo State is a state that is known for education. And over the years, we have gone down in some or in one way or the other. If we want to use white results as the basis of assessing how well we are doing. But importantly, one thing that we have seen over the years is that we do not have enough teachers in different primary and post-primary school, that is the secondary school. We are going to ensure that all pupils are given free education. You see,
we'll hold you to this. We will hold you to this.
Yes. Well, let me explain why I am saying we give free education. Because in economics, they told us that one thing is opportunity cost and alternative forgone. The truth about it is that if you spend that money that you are spending, it is what you are going to guide against in future. Because when you have large number of a generation that are not well educated, that are not exposed, sincerely, you are going to have very difficult time in controlling them and in their ability to be more productive for that system. So we are going to have massive recruitment of teachers in our primary school, in our secondary school. Many of our primary schools are dilapidated. Yes, we have UBE that is coming to help in building that. But we are going to channel such a large chunk of money to that. And I can tell you, the world has gone beyond this analog way of treating or teaching students. We are still in that analog way, and you will expect these are the future generation to be able to compete favorably with their peers worldwide. We must introduce IT. We must expose them from their youthful age to the contemporary thing in this current generation. In this current generation, we cannot do anything without having literacy in information technology. And unfortunately, the information technology that our people are literate on is usually on the bad side. You have a lot of Yahoo, you have a lot of hackers. We are not getting software developers. We are not getting areas that they can look into how to build those things. And you have to start it from their creative mind at young age of 5, 6, 7, 8. We must expose them. Not to even talk of secondary school. Most of our secondary school, the science education is almost dead. We need to put this thing in place so that our future in Ondo State can be better for everybody.
Prof, I know you are a prof. But the program is not the lecture theater, so we will not be able to take every course in this department at this time. But that has been Professor Fadile. I wanted to ask just yes or no. Is there some kind of underlying zoning in your state? Is this, some people are saying it's the turn of the South now. Is that the truth, or is just winner takes all? Or, I mean, it's free for all?
It's this time of the South, and it is a gentleman agreement that everybody, every politician in Ondo State has agreed to.
All right, that has been the program. We'll be back again with another of the gladiators gunning for these two state government houses, talking about Edo and Ondo State. Those are the governorship elections we have later in the year. We wish them the very best. We'll keep an eye on, a third eye on all the proceedings to see that we get you up to speed. Of course, talking about all those contesting for those seats. My name is Fisayo Gunfuyi. Thanking you for staying tuned. Between now and when we see you again, please play your politics for the greater good and keep it logged on Nigerian Television Authority, Africa's largest and finest, for news, reviews, previews, and interviews. Bye-bye now.